The next thing I wanted to get to is the CJ Carr, Dante Moore dynamic. So we talked about a couple weeks ago when CJ had committed to Notre Dame about just everybody's stance on CJ Carr and him committing and Michigan quote unquote losing him. I haven't changed my stance. I still feel the same way. If Michigan did not prioritize him as a recruit and Notre Dame did, and that happened, and he commits to Notre Dame, I'm fine with that. And it sounded like at that point he was all in on, or Michigan was all in on Dante Moore, and that doesn't seem to have changed. It seems like there's more activity with Dante Moore, potentially in other schools. I think he's got an official visit coming up to Oregon, or if he has already done that. But the thing is, my stance will change if Michigan does not get Dante Moore. That's gonna change things a bit for me, because I just think, we've got JJ coming up, going to be a sophomore. He's the type of talent that he's going to be, most likely, he's going to be leaving as a junior. So you need to have a high-level quarterback ready behind JJ if you want to keep the level of play and your level of success where I'm sure Michigan staff and Michigan fans want it to be. Like we've talked about it ad nauseum, that you're not going to be in the college football playoff, win the Big Ten title on a consistent basis with a average to below average quarterback. Like, that's just not going to happen. You can have years where it spikes and it's just an off year, but overall, the most talented quarterback is usually winning the Big Ten. So if you don't have a guy who's ready to come in after JJ leaves, then you kind of get yourself back in that cycle of, all right, well, now we got to get a guy. Now we got to get a guy versus, all right, we've got him. Let's develop him. Let's get him to, get him ready to play. So we'll see what happens. Another thing that we talked about on the channel a couple weeks ago was just guys that we thought were just busts and just things that looked different. I saw some clips of Dante Moore. He is currently at the Elite 11 competition. I believe that's in Los Angeles. And I saw a couple clips, and the ball looks very like it comes off of his hand. It looks different. He's a guy that I think the 5-star rating is warranted. He looks like a special kid. So it would just be nice to see him commit to Michigan and wear the maize and blue. Like I said, you just want to you want to sustain that success, and you want to make sure that you have another guy, because you at this point in the college landscape, like, you almost want to have a guy every single year. I look at Ohio State, right? CJ Stroud is getting ready to have his next season, but they had Quinn Ewers. He's transferred, and he's getting ready to potentially and most likely be the starter this year, but he also has Arch Manning coming in as well. So what does that look like? So, one of those guys is maybe transfer, maybe not. But just with the way that things are with the landscape, the one-time transfer rule, and just being able to be, I call it essentially a free agent, to be able to go anywhere that you want to go with no penalty of having to sit out, it changes things a lot. And you need to make sure you're having a high-level talent play quarterback for you, because you're just not going to consistently be successful in college football without one of those dudes at quarterback. So we'll see what happens. It's blank name. Appreciate you for always tuning in and dropping a comment, but blank name says Phil Knight is showing more of the money on his Oregon visit, no doubt. And that's the potential issue is Michigan. Dre mentioned it last week that they are, focused on, the Michigan experience is going to be transformative, not transactional, and that's fine, and I understand it, but you just can't sit out NIL. You just can't. And whether it is the Michigan, the staff that is handling it, or getting things set up, or whatever the case may be, the Michigan collective, however it goes, you just can't sit it out. That's at the end of the day, you can't sit it out. So we'll see what happens. Let's Toast Media, Go Blue, Michigan, salute Des. Thanks so much again for joining us. And Blink Name mentioned, yeah, Michigan's got to pick it up on the recruiting trail. I think their NIL slowness is the reason for this drought. It's very possible, very possible. Adrian Roberson says, man, I'm so tired of hearing about recruiting. I'm ready for the games to start. Agreed. I am as well. I am not I'm just not huge into recruiting because the hit rate on it is just so, to me, especially when you're talking about 5-star kids, like the hit rate is low. And because of that, like it's hard for me to just hang so much on, one guy who commits, and to think that is going to change everything. Sometimes it does, but until you really see that guy on the field, competing, playing against other high level talent, like it's just hard to tell. Some of these guys go to these high schools that they all play on the best, the absolute best team. They all play together, so they're not really playing any high level talent across from them. So it's a difficult thing to just watch a high school kid's film and just and be wowed. To think that that's going to be someone who's going to just change the world or change life, and especially at a program like Michigan, it's difficult to have that impact the higher of an elite program that you have. So Clemson had the defensive tackle Brian Burson, something like that. Like, he was the #1 player in the country, and I thought he was a solid player, but I don't think he really changed life for Clemson. I think he was a really solid player, and I think a part of that is because of the type of the type of program that they are. They're a really, really good program. They had a bit of a down year, which I think for them is 2 or 3 losses, but it's difficult to move the needle as just one person when it comes to those elite programs. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, if Michigan, if Michigan misses out on Dante Moore and CJ Carr, it will be tough. I don't think that's going to be the end of the world, but it's not going to look great that Jim Harbaugh, and it's going to come down on Jim Harbaugh, that he let 2 really high-level kids get away from him. One of them in Saline, which is not far at all from Ann Arbor, and even King High School is not that far from from Ann Arbor as well. So I mean, that is a drive. Anytime you don't have to fly to go and see a recruit, see a kid, I mean, you should be at multiple games for that young man and visiting him multiple times. And I know King is a school that has a lot of talent. They put a lot of kids into at the Division I level. I actually have a friend who teaches there. So there's Division I schools that are coming in and out of that school all the time to recruit those kids. Why are you not one of them? And if you are, why aren't you doing it more? Because recruiting is just one of those things where you can outwork someone. Now, when it comes to outworking someone, right? If I'm, no disrespect to University of Toledo, but if I'm the University of Toledo, right, I'm probably not going to be able to outwork Michigan to get Dante Moore. But as far as, a Michigan to Oregon comparison, Michigan can absolutely do that. They can absolutely do that. So we'll see what happens. It would just be it'd be a very tough look.